Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And I'm thrilled to be joined today by Neil Swanson, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at TUI. It's a new role for you, Neil. You were appointed, I think, just earlier this year. How are you?
Hi, Lucy. Yes, I'm very good, thank you. Very busy, but very good.
Yeah, I know it's that time of year, isn't it? We're all ramping up again. Well, I'm thrilled that you had time to speak to us today. We were keen to get to know you anyway, but obviously, I guess the most interesting thing has been your recent release that you sent us and the news that we wrote about, which was you enhancing your trade sales team. So we've written that story, but we thought it'd be great to get you on here to sort of talk about that and the strategy behind it, given the history with TUI, and I'm long and old enough to remember, back in the day when commission was cut, and obviously done subsequent interviews where you got your direct business really, really high. So perhaps
Yeah,
let's give you the floor and tell us a little bit about why you've done this, and then we can go into more detail.
yeah, good. Thanks very much, Lucy. So I guess I am relatively new in role, but I have been working in distribution and sales in TUI before. I've been away working in a group role on the sales systems for the last 12 months, but now I'm back in here. That's sort of coinciding with us increasing our capacity. So we've announced we're putting a lot more seats on for summer 24. And that was a good time to review the distribution strategy and what we're actually doing. And when you sit back and look at it, you realize that we're missing out on a portion of the market, and we have done for a lot of years, as you've referred to there. And that portion of the market is largely independent agents. We do work with independent agents, and we've got some key partners, but there's a lot of the trade that we haven't been working with. And that's something that we've been missing out on. We see from our own retail stores that retail customers are very loyal to shopping in shops. I see a big difference between those customers who want to buy online versus those who want to go into a shop and buy within our own estate. And I know that will be the same for independent agents as well, because those customers value that relationship and that extra personal service that you get through going into a shop. So I think that is an area that we've been missing out on, and we want to put that right. So as far as yeah.
Sorry, Neil, can I just ask, because obviously everyone said agents came to the fore in the pandemic. So is this sort of driven a little bit by that at all? Because you've suddenly seen this resurgence of the trade and people wanting that reassurance of sort of face to face, a good agent to help them with their holiday? Or is this something that you feel you've been missing out on for longer than that?
I think it's longer than that, Lucy. Clearly there is a bit of a resurgence, and we see that customers value that face-to-face contact. Even online customers want some of that reassurance and want to go into shops and into retail agents. The minute things aren't going exactly as they want it to, then they want to speak to someone face-to-face, and that's where you see the benefit of the guys on the high street. So maybe it's brought it into sharper focus, but I think this is something longer term than that. So it's a much bigger piece. I know one of the pieces that's been fed back is, we've been away for ages, and you're just coming back for the short term. And clearly that doesn't do anyone any favors. This is about long-term relationships. And, as far as I'm concerned, I'm here to tell you that we're here for the long haul to make this work properly. I know some people might struggle with that and think, is that true? All I can say is that it is true, and all I'm asking is for people to give us a chance. First we try, and then we trust, hopefully.
Okay.
And ultimately it'll be in what happens. But I can promise you we are here to stay.
Okay, well, that is great to hear. And let's perhaps come on in a second to some of those things that you'll do to convince those people that might be a bit skeptical. But I mean, there has been a reaction, hasn't there? Like, people who are thinking you're only going to do it because you've lost your number one position, or, you've done this a little bit before, because we have written stories where you've sort of come back a little bit to the trade before, but then it's not really been followed through. So when you say it's part of a wider strategy, can you sort of give us some detail? So it's not just the 5 new people then in the trade sales team. What else are you doing to make this a permanent, long-term
Yeah.
solution?
I think there's 3 probably key things that we're doing. The first bit is the trade team, as you say. Now we've got a team of 8 at the moment, and we're expanding that to 14. So the team of 8 shows you that we have been doing things, and we've been working with key partners in a deeper way for probably the last 9 months, trying things to see what works and what doesn't work. And we've had really good feedback from those partners. So having these extra people in place will allow us to cover the whole of the UK, so Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, with people who are on the road and are there to support and train and help with TUI product, which we think is really important. We did this for Marella about a year ago, that some independent agents who sell more cruise will be aware of. And again, that's worked really well for us, and we've seen sales up over 100% in some agents as a result of that. So we have been trying things, and as a result of that, we're expanding. So that's the first piece, is that this bigger trade team that we're bringing in, who will be out on the road and at the end of a phone to support. The second thing, and critically I think, is the commercial piece, that we recognize we need new pricing and commission structures in place in order to support this. It's got to work for both parties on a commercial basis, otherwise it just doesn't work. So that is something that we've been reviewing, and we've done some trials, and we're now ready to start communicating that to agents. Clearly, I'm not going to go through the details on the call at the moment because it's commercially sensitive.
Why not, Neil? That would be wonderful.
I know, sorry, Lucy. What an opportunity that I'm spoiling. But it is commercially sensitive. So, but over the next few weeks, and by the end of September, we'll have got around and talked to everyone about what those terms are. And clearly, everyone needs to decide whether they work for them. That is important. And the third plank is the support. Clearly, we've got the people out on the road, but we need more than 14 people supporting independent agents. And that's around our contact center support, and make sure that we've got the right team at the end of the phone, who've got the right level of product knowledge and are able to respond in a really timely manner to queries and questions that agents have got. So we've taken that feedback on board, and we've got a program in place at the moment to improve that service. Okay. And I think all those 3 elements have got to be in place and got to be working well for this to work for everyone. Like I said, it's a mutually beneficial thing. This is important to us, but it's got to work for agents, otherwise they won't get on board.
It won't do it. No.
The tricky bit is that long term versus short term. I can sit here and promise you it's for the long term, but I understand people want to see a bit more of that. Hopefully they'll see, with what we're investing in it, they'll be able to realize that it isn't the short term thing. This is a long haul thing, and it's only over time that I'll be able to effectively demonstrate, that we are here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we hopefully give you the benefit of the doubt, let you do that, and we can come back and talk to you in a few months. But the intent sounds good. I know you're not going to go into details of commercials. I understand that, but just to raise a couple of points that agents have been raising on our website in response to the initial story. Clearly, there's the commission issue. There's also the whole price parity issue, which is the same for all operators. They're always quizzed about that. And then I think the big thing with you is around deposits, because there's just like this agents are clearly finding it difficult to compete if you can get a very low or nil deposit online with a TUI holiday, but you have to obviously pay a big deposit if you buy it through the trade. So that's something they would quite like an answer on. Commission is that that other sort of thorny issue, because you went down to 7% in 2005, and I know there was some consortia that would have got terms of 10 or 11, I believe. But it'd be good to understand, even if you can't give exact numbers, but how you're going to address that, and then obviously the price parity issue.
Yeah, I mean, the pricing, the parity, and the commission go hand in hand as far as I'm concerned. So those structures that we've had in place between those 2 elements clearly haven't been working for a lot of independent agents, and we need to address that. In terms of exactly how that's going to work and what we're going to do, then unfortunately that is going to be that we're going to have those discussions one-to-one with all of our partners, and clearly it needs to work for them. It's pointless us sitting here if we don't come up with something that actually works, that people are comfortable with, they can see it working for them and going forward. And I think that's all I can say to you about that. In terms of the deposit piece, I have seen some of that feedback. But again, we believe that all of the deposits that are available to our own retail shops are available to third-party agents. If they're not, we're going to make sure that they are available, so that they've got exactly the same things in place for that.
So I
Zero
mean,
deposits online.
just so you know, we did when we were doing our kind of reaction piece, we spoke to an agent who, whilst we were on the phone, did a complete, did a comparison of trying to book a holiday online and got this low deposit, tried to do it on her own system as an independent agent, and it was £200 per person for a deposit. So, some people won't worry about that. I get that. But for some people who are budgeting, to suddenly have to pay all that money up front would be a negative and an obstacle, and it might drive that customer back online. So I think that was that was a real life example as we were on the phone to an agent just like last week.
Yeah. Yes, and I've seen that feedback, and I completely agree in terms of making sure that we've got low deposits available exactly in the same way as we'd have in our own retail shops. They should be there, so there shouldn't be that £200 for an agent and a low deposit available online. So that needs to be addressed in exactly the same way, and it will be, Lucy.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. I'm just going to go through a couple of other things that agents have raised, but I'm sure you've seen them as well. I mean, one is really around this whole long-term thing, but one thing I saw several times written was, oh, is it just because they're adding this capacity, so they need this short-term kind of help to fill all this extra capacity? And what about if we then suddenly deliver a load of customers to TUI, but then they go and target them direct? So it's a slightly different question about whether you're in it for the long haul. It's just like they're worried they're going to then give you these customers, you'll have all their names and addresses, and then they'll go, oh, we'll just take them as direct customers.
It's very important that independent agents own their own customers. I completely understand that. So there's no question we will not be targeting any customers direct. They are the independent agents' customers, and they're selling one of our holidays. That would just completely undermine all trust and would be completely wrong. So, there's no question that we will not be doing any of that. What was the first part of the question, Lucy? Sorry, I forgot.
No, I think you've answered it. No, that's fine. I think you've answered it. It's just people worrying that they're going to, let's say they do decide to go with it and give you a chance and try, because your product, might be exactly what their customer wants, but they just don't want to then invest that time only to lose that customer, say, the following year.
Yeah, and you were saying about the capacity increase, and is this just a one-off?
Yeah, because you said at the start that you've got this. We've written stories about how you're trying to increase your capacity this year.
Yes, I mean we clearly have put that additional capacity in, and the intention is that we won't be pulling back from that, and that will be the start of a continued growth plan. And it's up to us to make sure that happens. Notwithstanding that, as I said to you at the beginning, when you look at the distribution strategy, it makes sense to not miss out on any of the market. And it's very clear if you stand back, then you are missing out on that area of the market. Like I said, I see it within our own business. A retail customer is a different customer to an online customer. They are two different pools. And an independent agent's retail customer is different to our own retail customers as well, because of that loyalty and service and that relationship that you don't get. That's what those customers are buying into, and we want to offer our product to those customers via those independent agents. Otherwise we're missing out on that.
And when we talk about product, because you mentioned Marella there, and obviously we've known for some time that agents have been a very important distribution channel for Marella, but are we talking now about the breadth of the TUI product, or are you still seeing that agents will be important for just only certain types of product?
Totally the breadth of the TUI product, and we're certainly not wanting to steer people down one route or another. It is everything that we sell. The product is what TUI is all about, as far as I'm concerned. We're proud of the quality and quantity of exclusive product that we've got, whether it's beach or AI, or we're introducing new AO. We've got the cruise bit, as you said. River Cruise is a great new product. The new Nile cruises we're bringing in. We're constantly bringing new product online, and I think hopefully that will be something that agents see a benefit in, the breadth and quality of the product, the 21 local airports that we operate in, and the number of countries and destinations, nearly 80 destinations we go to. So the product, I think, is what we're bringing to the equation. What we need to do is deliver these other parts that we've talked about, the commercial agreement element of it, the support that's available over the phone, and the new trade team that's on the road educating and helping with selling TUI product.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned there the support on the phone. It was your third pillar, wasn't it, of things you need to get right. And agents, I think you'll have seen this feedback as well, that they say it's very easy to deal with TUI when it's very straightforward, but as soon as there's a problem or an amendment or a change or something, it's just a nightmare to get through. I mean, there's people been posting pictures of, oh, I look like a skeleton, I've been holding on for so long. And there's been issues as well around, just communication, because I think your call centers are overseas, where they've got agents who've been saying that they've struggled to get people to understand. So I don't know if you want to pick up those 2 points, the wait time to get through on the trade helpline, and also, the service that's then offered to an agent compared to, I guess, your direct customer line.
I mean, all I can say is that it's not acceptable for people to be waiting any length of time at all. I totally understand that. And, in the past, I've had feedback from our own retail teams where you've got a customer in front of you and the last thing you want is to be hanging on for support. It doesn't do anyone any favors. We've made sure we're getting the right level of support in the contact centres. The B2C support that's in there at the moment, 90+% of calls are answered within 30 seconds. The service levels are better than I've ever seen them since I've been looking after it. And that needs to be the same for the trade team, and it will be the same for the trade team. If we don't get that right, then people won't be selling us. So it's a basic piece that we need to get in.
Can you give a time frame on that? I know you talked about the trade team being in place by the autumn, but will the contact centre be
yes
better service, or will it all be at the same time?
It's got to all be there at the same time, otherwise the whole thing falls. It's a
And what is your deadline? What date are you looking at for that?
Well, we'll be talking in terms of the commercial bit. We're talking over the next 4 weeks, so everything will then be coming out during October. So by the end of October, everything has got to be ready. I mean, I think we're in a reasonable place at the moment, but we will be in a better place by there. So over the next couple of months, everything will be coming out. Agents can make the decision on what they want to do, and they'll know that support is there from that moment. Yeah. I think the bit about overseas agents, then we've got a big contact center in Swansea as our main contact center. 60% of our agents are based in the UK. They're either in Swansea or the virtual contact center with agents spread all over the country. Yeah. But there are some overseas, as you correctly say. Those overseas agents provide good service, but clearly if there are issues with understanding or miscommunication, then that's not acceptable. So we'll need to make sure that the calls are being answered in the right place to deliver the right level of service, to make sure that agents are delighted with working with TUI is what I want. Otherwise, the whole thing just doesn't work, does it?
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, Neil, about how you do have strong relationships with some independent agents already. And I think a lot of those are in some of your regional areas where you've got like a real dominance out of that airport. So are you targeting certain agents in this around where you've got strongholds, or or is it literally nationally, like, or across the whole
nationally, literally nationally? We'd love to work with everyone. So we're hoping people will get in touch and give us a go. Like you say, we work with a lot of agents already, and the feedback is very good from those agents, but we just want to broaden it to everyone. Why would we not want to work with everyone? Everyone's got their own customers, and we'd like to make the TUI product available to them.
Yeah, and in terms of proportion of the business, then, I mean, are you able to say where it had got to in terms of direct trade? Because certainly I remember it being about 95%. It could even have got higher than that. And I know with Marella it might have been different, but where had you got to with your direct trade split, and where would you like to see it get to?
So I don't want to get into numbers, Lucy. Unfortunately, I can tell you it didn't get as high as 95%. The actual proportion on independent agents is relatively small in percentage terms, but is relatively large when you look at the actual absolute numbers of passengers that we're talking about. As far as I'm concerned, they are quite chunky numbers given the capacity that we run through TUI, and we just think there's an opportunity to grow it. And unfortunately, that's all I really want to say about the scale of it at the moment. But there is a big opportunity, is the way we see it.
And in terms of like commercial agreements already, I know you say you've got until the end of October, but have you already signed any, approached consortia or big agency groups? I mean, how are you waiting? You said you'd like to hear from anybody, but I'm sure you're not just waiting for people to phone you up. I mean, you must be out there sort of starting to try and
Yeah,
get
we are.
those commercial
The,
agreements in place. So have you been successful, and what's the reaction been? I know we've had the kind of initial people going, well, they've got to prove it, but have people been receptive so far once you've talked to them about your intent and your commercial changes?
we have with some of the larger consortia and groups, and we've been running, as I sort of alluded to, we've been running trials since turn of year with looking at some of the elements that we're talking about putting in place here that have been very successful on both sides, and we've had really good feedback on that. And we'll be looking to take those forward, as well as bringing hopefully new independent agents on as well. So yes, it's not. This isn't the big bang of suddenly everything's out there. We have been working with the trade, and we've been
Well, yes, and I
enhancing
think,
the way we're working with the trade since turn of year as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's an evolution really, rather than a revolution, I would say.
Well, I know, and I think we saw that you were one of the headline sponsors at the Advantage conference, for example, earlier
Yeah.
this year, which was quite telling, I think, when we saw that. So is that the kind of thing we're going to see you doing more of as well, just engaging? So I know we've talked about the three things you've said, but will we see you doing more training and forums and sponsorship and trying to really be one of those big sort of trade partners?
Yes, you will. You'll see us getting involved in all sorts of different ways that maybe we haven't done in the past. And we're looking at lots more around educationals, lots of, how can we do a conference and things like that, so we can really engage and give the support that the trade wants. So it's all about talking together and understanding what people want, and then it's up to us to deliver it. And it's obviously got to work for both parties. But yeah, I think all of those things are a given. Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's quite exciting because your conferences are legendary. So if you're going to run a conference now for independent agents, I'm sure they'd be very, very keen to
It
hear
should be good, yeah.
that.
I'm in training for our conference this year already. It's not something you can do overnight. You've got to prepare yourself over a number of weeks. Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, get the stamina up. I was going to say, actually, just back to you. I mean, I know you say you've been working on distribution and all the systems and things for a long while, but when I looked at your LinkedIn profile, Neil, it was all very much web, online. So, I mean, it seems unusual that someone with your background is now the one leading this charge to re-engage with the trade.
Yeah, I must update my LinkedIn profile, must I, Lucy? I don't know when I last updated.
No, you
that.
haven't. You haven't even updated your job title, but it's okay. But I can still see your progression through TUI. You've been there years, and perhaps we never, knew you, but you've been there a long, long time. And it's just interesting now that you're in this marketing role and dealing, obviously, with this distribution side of things.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I came in to work on the first websites back in 2001 in Lumpoly, Blast from the Past. That was.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, wonderful work on Lampolly and then Thompson as well, and then First Choice. And it was in 2018 that I broadened out from e-commerce into retail and contact centres and independent agents at that stage. And then I've been back doing a bit of system stuff, as we said. But during the pandemic, I was on this side, on the sort of distribution sales side of it, and back to a bit of group. And now I'm back on this. I guess, we, as you said before, we've worked with the trade with a number of key partners. Now we're looking to really get into that, and I think it's, we are taking this much more seriously, as I've outlined to you. We see this as really important to us, so you'll be hearing more from me hopefully in the future.
Well, I think we would absolutely love that. I mean, it's really interesting because one of my questions was going to be, how are you going to change people's views, because some people are still quite hurt by everything that happened, but it feels like that is an issue for some agents, and so you need to earn their trust, and you sounds like you have got a plan to try and do that. I mean, I'm sure there'll still be some negative or some people that just won't go there, but I guess it sounds like you're aware of it, so you're going to tackle it head on.
That's going to be what we're going to try and do, and some people will need to. It'll take a while, and maybe some people will never come on board, but hopefully over time people will see the benefit of working with us and come on board.
Yeah, and presumably you mentioned there that you've got a lot of exclusive product. So, I mean, as well as all the support, because they won't do it without that, I know that, but equally they definitely need a good end product so that their customer is really happy and so they get that loyalty.
Yeah, I mean, the product is what TUI's all about, and hopefully we can offer something that isn't easily available elsewhere, as I outlined before. And if we then back that up with these additional pieces we're bringing in of the commercial and the support on the road and over the phone, and that's at the same level of quality, then hopefully people will see a benefit in working with us.
Yeah. And do you see that trade team growing further still? Like, come January when we've got peaks, do you think you'll still be at 14, or do you see it growing even more?
There's nothing planned at the moment, but it is all about trying it, isn't it? We're bringing people in. If that's working, and you see, yeah, we could actually benefit from more people out on the road. There's nothing to stop that happening.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, then let's absolutely be doing that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because when EasyJet launched their holidays program, they weren't going to do that much with the trade, and all of a sudden, they're doing loads and loads with the trade. They're really ramping up everything. They got their big orange party, there, all the stuff that they do. Clearly,
Yeah,
Jet2 have got a great trade team doing loads of stuff. So, I mean, do you feel that you're behind everybody else and you've got a lot of running to do to catch up, or how do you feel given that you've got those two competitors really trying, really engage with the trade?
yeah. I mean, clearly those competitors don't have the retail estate that we've currently got, and that's probably one of the factors that's come into play. But we absolutely want to be playing in the same way that they are, because as I've said, I see these as different customers. So why would we not want to engage in exactly the same way and compete for those customers with the product that we've got?
Okay. All right. But look, I'm conscious of time. I've already gone over my allotted time, Neil. I know you've got another meeting, so I'm sorry about that. But listen,
Yeah,
it's
no problem.
fantastic to hear your plans, actually. I mean, as I say, I remember when you cut that commission to 7%, and the absolute outcry around
Yeah,
that. And over the years, it's been a long time. And to hear you now be so, I guess, committed to this distribution channel, and I guess proof will be in the pudding. We'd love to have you back on here and talk to you about it in a couple of months' time once it's launched properly, and
that'd be great.
find out how it's going. It'd be great.
That'd be great. Absolutely, the proof is in the pudding. So let's see how we go over the next couple of months, Lucy. But yeah, lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Neil.